My son asked me to check under his bed. He said, "The man who looks like daddy is under there." My husband was standing next to me. My 4-year-old Bennett had been having nightmares for weeks. Every night around 2 in the morning, he would scream for us, crying about the man in his room. We assumed normal childhood fears. Monsters under the bed, shadows that looked like faces. Kids imagine things at that age. But this was different. "The man who looks like daddy?" I asked, kneeling beside his bed. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Bennett pointed at my husband in the doorway. "Daddy is right there, but the other daddy is under my bed. He watches me sleep every single night." I looked at my husband. He shrugged, trying to seem casual, but I saw tension in his jaw. "Buddy, there's no one under your bed," he said gently. "It's just your imagination." "No," Bennett said firmly. "He comes when you leave. He looks just like you, but his eyes are wrong. They're too shiny and he never blinks." My skin prickled. I got on my hands and knees and looked under the bed. Nothing but dust and forgotten toys. I showed Bennett the empty space. He seemed relieved and we got him back to sleep, but I couldn't shake what he said. "The man who looks like daddy." Over the following days, I started noticing things. Small things. My husband would leave for work at 7, but sometimes I saw his car parked down the street an hour later. He said he forgot something, but never came inside. He started showering twice daily. Changed his phone password after 12 years. One night I woke at 3 and found his side empty. I walked through the dark house and found him in the kitchen, standing in complete darkness, staring out the window at nothing. "What are you doing?" I asked. He turned around and for just a second, something looked different. His smile too wide, his eyes too still. Something off in a way I couldn't name. "Couldn't sleep," he said. "Coming back to bed." I nodded but didn't sleep the rest of the night. Just lay there studying his face for something I couldn't identify. Next morning I called my mother-in-law, asked if there was anything about the family I should know. Medical history, mental health issues, anything hereditary. She went quiet for a long time, then asked why I was calling. I told her about Bennett's nightmares, the man who looks like daddy, my husband's strange behavior. She started crying quietly. "I hoped this wouldn't happen," she whispered. "I prayed it would skip his generation." "What are you talking about?" "My husband had an identical twin brother. Nobody talked about him because he was institutionalized as a teenager. He was dangerous, violent, obsessed with taking over his brother's life. He believed he was the real one and my husband was the imposter." Ice crawled up my spine. "What happened to him?" "He escaped 15 years ago. They never found him. We assumed he died somewhere alone, but sometimes I wondered if he was still out there watching." She couldn't continue. I hung up and sat in silence. That night I waited until Bennett slept, set up my phone to record and hid it on his bookshelf, pointed at the bed. Didn't tell my husband. At 2 in the morning the recording caught something that stopped my heart. The closet door opened slowly and silently. A man crawled out on his hands and knees, wearing my husband's clothes, my husband's face, but his movements were wrong, too deliberate, too predatory. He crawled to Bennett's bed and watched my son sleep, face inches away, for 45 minutes, not moving, just watching with shiny, unblinking eyes. Then he crawled backward into the closet without a sound. I watched with shaking hands and called police immediately. They found him living in our attic. He had been there 2 months. Photographs of our family covered the walls. A journal documented our routines and schedules. He had written a detailed plan to replace his brother and take over his entire life. My husband never knew his father had an identical twin. His parents hid it completely, too ashamed to tell the truth. The man had been watching through vents, learning how to become my husband, waiting for the perfect moment to make the switch. Bennett was the only one who noticed. Kids see things adults explain away. When police took him into custody, he didn't resist, just looked at my husband with that too wide smile. "I would have been so much better at being you," he said calmly. We moved out the next week. Bennett sleeps with every light on now. So do I. Sometimes I still check closets before bed. Sometimes I study my husband's eyes, making sure they look right, making sure he's really him.